Now we are going to cover my presentation about the circular flow of income. Okay, so this is the topic today, the circular flow of income and the case study of the eruption of a volcano. The circular flow of income shows the relationship between firms and households. Firms are going to deliver or are going to provide to the household factor payments. These factor payments are not only wages. Factor payments include as well dividends and rents. So we have labor, we have shareholders and landlords or landladies in this group of households. Households are going to consume domestically and are going to consume domestically from these firms. So at the same time they are receiving factor payments, they are providing as well resources through consumption to the firms. The idea of analyzing the eruption of this volcano in 2010 is to see what have been the affections in the circular flow of income. In general, we know that the eruption of the volcano caused a travel disruption in the UK for several days. Also, we could account as well for if we analyze the economy of Iceland, the problems like caused by the ashes and flooding and other affections that are like linked with this eruption. The circular flow of income needs to be like complete because households do not consume domestically only. They have other type of withdrawals, and this circular flow of income has as well some injections. So imagine that you received £50,000, or this household received £50,000. Part of that money is going to be used to consume domestically. The one withdrawal will be the monies that these households are going to store in the bank savings. These households also need to pay taxes, so that is another withdrawal or leakage. Is called as well leakage in economic. Yes, and these taxes are going to be stored by the government. Also, these households are going to import. Yes, so they will go buy items from abroad, and therefore these monies are going to go to a different circuit of circular flow of income for another country. However, these banks, governments, and other countries are going to deliver injections. So in the first case, the banks with these monies that they receive as a savings, they are going to offer some credits to these firms, yes, and as a result, these firms are going to invest. Governments with the taxes are going to generate government expenditure, and because of exchange rates change when we import more, so we will be able to export more if the exchange rates change in a way that is appreciated or depreciated. So if we receive, like in the case of today, more dollars, we receive more pounds per dollar, so therefore we will be in the case in which exports can increase more. So as you can see, there are mechanisms through which these savings affect, or these withdrawals affect these injections. When savings increase, investment can increase. When taxes increase, government can increase. when import expenditure increase, exports will increase as well. Yes, through exchange rates. So, in general, we can say that this is the circular flow of income. Probably the only thing that I need to say, apart from these connections and these circuits, are the fact that these four items, the blue and the green, this domestic consumption and the injections, investment, government expenditure, and export, are called aggregate demand. And national income is actually these four items: domestic consumption, investment, government expenditure, and exports minus imports. That will be national income. So as you can see, the difference between aggregate demand and national income is the fact that we subtract the imports, because we want actually, or we want to know what has been the output of the incomes nationally. So we need to deduct the imports. So I already covered the links between the injections and withdrawals. To summarize, the more savings, banks are going to be able to offer more credit, so investment will increase. More taxes, the government will be able to increase government expenditure. More imports, the exchange rates are going to change, therefore exports will be able to increase because of the change in the exchange rates. And these are the links or the mechanisms that balance out the effects on withdrawals and injections. I must say that during the current pandemic situation, government expenditure has increased a lot in the short run. Yes, so planned injections and planned withdrawals in the short run are not equal sometimes. Yes, so that means that in the future, the most logical action will be to balance out to balance the budget, meaning that taxes need to increase in order to finance all the government expenditure that we have experienced in order to stop or to try to contain the affections from, or the economical affections from, this pandemic situation. So we have had furlough schemes, we have had investments to produce a vaccine, we have had investments in the NHS, we have also, apart from all these investments to try to stop the problem directly, we have investment in the HS2, the government is trying to reactivate the most they can the economy. Obviously, there have been many critics, many arguments against some of the policies of the government, but I will focus on this probably on another session. Please remember that in the long run there is an equilibrium, and equilibrium is when withdrawals equal injections. Remember that. The circular flow of income has also a relationship, a very close relationship with the macroeconomic objectives. The four macroeconomic objectives are full employment, price stability, a high and sustainable rate of economic growth, and keeping the balance of payments in equilibrium. So as we want to keep the balance of payments in equilibrium, we would like to have an equilibrium in exports and imports. Yes. We would like to have price stability. That means not very high or very low inflation, so not deflation and no high inflation or hyperinflation. Yes, and we would like as well to have like a steady economic growth that allows that country to forecast to like, or to have a very good outlook for the future, and have like a very good setting for investors. And in general, we would like to achieve full employment because we wouldn't like to waste the resources, not the capital resources and not the labor resources that the country is able to deliver. So having full employment is also very good in terms of efficiency. Okay, so now you are going to answer three multiple choice questions, so I will come back to you in a second. So the first question was, assume that a UK insurance company sells insurance across the world. In which component of the UK circular flow of income will this be included? In the export. So anything that is sold internationally or abroad, that will be an export. So the other options are not compatible with the answer. The right answer is the exports. Aggregate demand consists of which one of the following? I explained during my previous video that aggregate demand was the blue and of domestic consumption plus injections. So we have here the right answer is C. In the long run, it might be true that domestic consumption plus withdrawals are the aggregate demand. However, in the short run, this is not the case. As we covered previously, in the short run, we have that withdrawals are not always equal to the injections. One example of this is the current pandemic situation in which government expenditure have increased and at the same time net taxes, or what the government is receiving for net taxes, is actually decreasing. Finally, we have this question: which of the following will represent a rise in aggregate demand? Well, a rise in saving, that is, I recall that aggregate demand is domestic consumption plus injections. Savings is a withdrawal, so we rule out A. We rule out C because taxes are as well a withdrawal. Yes. And the option B, a fall in investment, will not increase the aggregate demand. It will be an increase in investment, which will rise the aggregate demand. So option B is not a good option. And a fall in consumption will produce a fall in aggregate demand, which is not in line with the question. So the only good answer is a rise in exports. Exports is actually an injection. So that is the right answer. A rise in exports produce a rise in aggregate demand. Thank you.